thought I wanted to talk more about attachment and love. It was something I wanted to talk about before. I haven't seen you guys in a while because life has been a little bit crazy on this end, but there's a lot that goes on in our relationships, and part of that is our fear of losing someone, and that could be with another human being, with our pets, with our friends, with anyone. And it's ironic that today is the day I finally get to do this talk when I've been considering doing it for a while now. And my best friend is driving her son and partner north. They're leaving. It was sad, but fun and exciting because it's a brand new beginning for them. So how do attachment and love go together? They don't. Attachment is the holding on to, right? It's the fear of letting go, the fear of loss. And so when we love, though, if we think of love like water, then the way we really hold water is to open our hands, right? If we try to hold water like this, it slips away. So that's probably a fairly common and easy way to think about the difference between love and attachment. So love is the absence of fear, and attachment is the fear of loss. That if you let go, you will lose what you have. That's where that phrase, let it go, if it comes back, it was meant to be yours, right? When we talk about love. But we're together now. Imagine you're in a relationship with another human being, an animal, whatever it may be, and you're enjoying the relationship. So if you're enjoying the relationship, then you have that fear of, what if it ends? What if it goes away? And that fear limits you in that love. And then there are other situations where people are so terrified that they only know attachment, they don't know love. So one of the things we want to look at in mastery is releasing that attachment, because the attachments really create our suffering, and they come from our suffering. So how do we let go without the fear of loss of some sort, right? And that's a little difficult because it is anchored in a lot of old fears. For some people, it can be childhood traumas of being unsafe, of loss, of destruction. But for others, it can be a little less challenging, but also very fearful. If somebody is still dealing with loneliness, then of course they're going to want to stay more attached because they're terrified of their own loneliness. And that loneliness then makes them very afraid of the loss, one thing leading to another. But again, if you can hear what I'm saying, in all of these situations as we look at attachment, we're looking at the fear. And when we are fearful of something, we cannot feel love at the same time. It can toggle back and forth, but you can't feel it at the same time. So if you're living in your relationship with the fears of loss, then you're missing out on at least a portion of your relationship. So how do we heal the attachment within us? Well, we have to understand its origin, from where it came, right? So let's look at memories. Go back as far as you can. Where did you feel this loss that you're afraid of? Where did you learn to be afraid of this feeling? And so keep going back. And don't go back to your last relationship where it was a bad breakup. Keep going back. Because whatever it was that was going on in your life is part of what made that breakup a bad breakup. So we want to keep going back, looking at what really is the source of this fear of attachment. Now, we can really play with this one. And I won't go into all of this in this particular talk, but I can do it later on. When we look at the beginning of life, our first year of life is all about attachment. We want to be with that primary caretaker 24/7 until we start to push against them, and we want to start to feel our own separation and independence. So that attachment at the beginning of this life is critical to our development, to our internal safety, to our ability to define a sense of self, because we start with that merge with the primary caretaker and then we slowly back out of that. So if we can understand that attachment was at that phase where we knew we couldn't survive if we weren't attached to our primary caretaker, that just starts to help you understand the depth of not only the fear, but the pain and what kind of destruction, if you will, can happen if you're not attached. So sometimes it can be a disruption in that very, very early part of life. And in that very early part of life, then we can go back to most of our memories. Sometimes we can ask about memories, but it doesn't have to be that literal. Just understand that this is, any fear is anchored in your past, and anytime it is present today, we are not living present. So if we are attached, we are not being present in our relationship, whatever that is. And so that absence of presence is keeping us anchored in the past, which is keeping us anchored to the attachment, which takes us away from the freedom that love can give us. So love is about freedom. And that's why we say set the person in front of you, set the animal in front of you free. Now, we have domestic animals. We don't literally set them free in the middle of the street, but we set them free in the household. You know, we let them be who they are, and we respond to that, and that is their freedom. That is their expression. In our relationship with people, we do the same thing. We set them free. We let them express themselves, be who they are, do what they need to do, express themselves through their own free will. And then it is from that observing of them, that curiosity about them, that compassion about them, that we start to open our love and we start to move forward. But when we cannot do that because we're attached and we're fearful, we must look inside. We must look inside if we think that person is going to leave us, if we think that person is going to betray us, if we think that person is going to whatever that is coming back to your fear and attachment, that has to start inside you. Regardless of the other's behavior, we have to get rid of our own fears and sufferings and judgments before we can move forward. So, let me recap, because this is a deeper subject, but I really want us all to understand it, because I think if we can start to be aware of where we are attached to our partner versus loving our partner, attached to our animals versus loving our animals, we can start to open up with a freer love, a more comprehensive love, and a grander love for one another. So look where you are fearful of loss, where you are fearful of them leaving, fearful of them doing something that would destroy the relationship, and ask if there is a fear of letting go. Not letting go and letting the person fly away forever, that's your fear of attachment. But letting go of your need to control or hold on to or make sure you understand where they are, all of that stuff that goes back to our fear of attachment. Our fear of loss, which is attachment. Okay, so hopefully today is opening your eyes to something. There's a little bit of that in almost everybody. So allow yourself, if there's a little bit of it, great. If there's a lot and you keep seeing it flow through, great. Now's the time to offer yourself a gift of really understanding that that's attachment and it can heal. So I thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Happy St. Patrick's Day again. I have no idea what the meaning of this really, I do. It's just not really anything that we can really talk about. So go have a good time, but be safe, and I hope to see all of you next time. And until then, may you be aware of where you are attached versus free, where your love is limited versus open. Thank you so much. Please visit me on KristenBomas.com. We have new and upcoming workshops starting in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for what's next. Thank you. Bye-bye.